Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryamkaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In order to really get the word out about this summer's youth empowerment program happening at Chinmaya Mangalam, we conducted several info sessions. Now, with this YEP info session, we've sent recordings out of it also. We've done it in a pretty linear way. We've had a slide deck talking about the benefits of YEP and what the program is all about, so you can check that out. We have recordings of it available. But in today's session here, I wanted to focus on something slightly different. Where this year, Gītā Pañcāmṛtam, those 5 Shlokas of Gītā that we went through a couple weeks ago, that is the crux of what we're looking at as a mission worldwide this year. So I wanted to make a different kind of connection this time. That if we're truly living Vedanta through those 5 Shlokas, what is it that the YEP course can do to help me do that? So when it comes to the first of the 5 Shlokas, Uddhared ātmanātmānam nātmanam avasadhayet. Instruction that's given to us right there. Lift oneself by oneself and don't debase yourself. You are your greatest friend. You are your worst enemy, is what's given in the second line. Now, I wanted to go deeper into that because what we discussed last time looking at this shloka was there are certain actions you can do to take yourself out of any bad situation. There are certain actions that you act upon that really hurt you. Why are we saying that I am my best friend, I am my worst enemy? How can I make that claim? Because the natural objection is there are so many external influences that mess with me. Things that are out of my control. My family's been planning a trip for this upcoming weekend. It's my cousin's 40th birthday in New Jersey. All right, they were told about this months ago. They've been gearing up for it. They're very excited. They don't even know if this trip is going to happen this weekend. Given all the flight cancellations and the way the weather's been, who knows what's going to happen? Now, how do you tell me that this failure of planning then, it's not on me? How? It's something weather related. This has nothing to do with my decisions, my choices. Now, where can we find this in Bhagavad Gītā then? The Acharyas also say the reason why we can say I am my best friend, I am my worst enemy is my mind is the one that reacts to pleasure and pain. In pleasure, I have a certain way of wanting to seek that, do more of it. In pain, I have a way of acting as well, where even if it's an external influence that caused this to happen, I hurt myself in this whole process. Blaming that, taking it to heart, being affected by it so much so that I make myself miserable. That's the part where I'm my worst enemy. Even if it's something that's external influencing me, I hurt myself at that point. That's the heart of what this shloka is telling us. Now, another word that we find, Bhagavan Sri Adi Shankaracharya gives it to us here. Yoga Rudha. One who is established in this process of self-improvement, we can say. When do we find ourselves actually engaged in self-improvement? Think about it. Is there a time that we set aside each day saying, this is my self-improvement time? 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., I sit and focus on what do I fix in myself? How do I go about it? What habits do I cut out? What do I work on more? We never do this. But personalizing this knowledge, making it work for oneself, that's on your own time. That can't happen in a satsang setting. Satsang is only for listening then, or discussing and sharing. That's the first reason for YEP. If I truly want to be my best friend, I have to understand myself first. The Youth Empowerment Program gives me that opportunity first and foremost. When else do I have 6 to 7 weeks just to look at my mind, just to see how I act and react? Because what I'm stuck in right now is there's a deadline every single week to do something. There are a bunch of people out there depending on me, or there is work to be done, all of this. When do I have time to slow down and actually look at myself at this point? It's just not there. So the first is time. That's what it gives me to actually get to know myself. Because how many of us can confidently say we truly know ourselves? That sounds dumb to say, Hariji. We're with ourselves all the time. Yes, we're with ourselves in an extroverted way. We're always using this tool or this tool right here, getting time to actually sit, assess and analyze it, sharpen it if needed. That's not there on a regular basis. And if we're going to say we're going to live Vedanta, that has to be on a daily basis. It can't just be when things are bad, I say, okay, I'm going to change at this point to make things better. That's not a daily living at all. So the first thing is this allows me to slow down. The program is designed in such a way where it's stress-free. Your only responsibilities at the Youth Empowerment Program are to engage in the hearing of what this knowledge is, reflecting on this knowledge, and discussing it with others so that it can bring up questions that we haven't already thought of. Those are literally your only responsibilities for 7 weeks at the ashram. Things like cooking food, taken care of. Lodging, taken care of. And the best part is you don't have to deal with this thing for 7 weeks. In the first week, it's tough. You feel phantom pains in your pocket where you think it's vibrating, but there's nothing even in there. Or things like this. But every single student that's been through this course, by that second or third week of not having their phone at all times, they feel liberated already in a way where they don't feel hung up on having to check it every 10 minutes to see if there's an update or what is my friend doing on Instagram. All of those distractions fall away. You actually get to look at your mind for the first time alone. Uddhared ātmanātmānam, that is how I lift myself up. So first benefit of the Youth Empowerment Program, you have the time to actually reflect, understand who we are, to be our best friend and not our worst enemy. Now, what's the second shloka in the Gītā Pañcāmṛtam? The second chapter, 47th shloka, Karmaṇyevādhikāraste mā phaleshu kadāchana, mā karma phalaheturbhuhu, mā te sangostva karmani. Where, what is it that I have a right to do? My only right, Bhagavan Sri Krishna tells me, is the right to action, nothing else. Expectation of something to come from that action. Expectation that even if, just because I'm doing the right thing all the time, that means good things happen to good people. We can break that notion in many ways. He says all these expectations are foolish. My only right is to do the action. Now, at first glance, this doesn't sound good to me. But what's the deeper philosophical import right here that we should know about ourselves? One great Acharya says, Durlobha is the reason why I do anything. Durlobha means greed. Any action I do is for some benefit. Whether it's filling my stomach, there is some greater greed out there that I'm going for. In Dallas, for the first time in a long time, we were hit with a substantial snow. With the weather like this and the situation so precarious out on the roads, what in the world is compelling someone to be out on the roads at this moment? Could it be that they're essential workers working in a hospital or somewhere where they have to go in for work, and that's why they're doing it? Could it be that they have a sick child, or they have to get some medicine or food? Maybe they ran out of something. They have to have that, so they're going out. That's in their control. They're doing it for some reasons. What if that person's compelled to be out on the road? What if they work a job where their boss, not understanding of the situation or refusing to understand, said to them, unless you come in for work today, you're fired. Or if they don't go into work that day, they don't have enough money to eat that week. There are some jobs that are like that. What if that's what they're doing? What if they feel In times when there's not as many Uber and Lyft drivers out there, they charge one heck of a surcharge on you. What if they thought, man, with the orders coming in right now, with no one else on the road, I can make a killing if I'm out there today? And that's in seeing someone drive by. That's all I have data of, meaning we never know what someone's intentions are. Do we know our own intentions for action? Why do I do something? To me, that's the difference between coming to high school Balvihar and coming to Chick. What a difference a year makes from 12th grade to freshman year of college, where you're forced to go to Balvihar when you're in high school for the most part. As Chick, tuning to satsang, that is of your own volition, of your decision. That's why when parents of chicks come to me and say, hey, talk to my kid, he's graduated Balvihar, doesn't want to come to chick class, talk to him about coming to class. I tell them, look, this is not a stage you can force them to come anymore. Don't expect them to do it because they're not under your control. It's up to them what they want to do. But that's why I'm in awe of those that really stick around year after year, because you're making that extra effort to do it. There is an intention of growth behind your actions. There are so many options that we have in front of us. Where our generation, then, especially growing up in this country, how many of you have changed your major in college, either during your college days or when you're in college right now? Anyone ever changed their major? The average American college student changes their major 2.3 times in their college journey, on average. Now, that is something our parents' generation cannot fathom. When I asked this question to our Balvihar teachers, not a single hand went up. The only hands that went up were our chick teachers. Because there was no option. It's not about finding yourself or, I don't think this is my passion. It's if you don't graduate on time and get a job, you don't eat. It's about survival, not just finding something I'm happy about. So when that kind of pressure is there and options are taken away, action has a very clear purpose to it. I'm doing A so I can get to B. With the plethora of options that you and I have, intention matters that much more. And at this point in our lives, it feels, man, everyone is at my throat about what I want to do. I have no clue what I really want to do. There are passions I want to follow that may not pay well as a job. There are fields I'm interested in that I'm good at, but I look at opportunities, AI is taking over everything in terms of what jobs I can have. There are certain things that I cannot see myself doing, whether it's Excel spreadsheets every single day, whether it's having to go on rounds and be on call and all this, but that seems like what I'm going to have to end up doing. And there's the whole cultural element here that my parents freak out. They want me to go into engineering or something so stable. I want to be a clinical psychologist and go more into a field that I feel I can make a difference in, but my folks are freaking out about that. The good thing is, I see some of you smiling. This is not unique to any one person. A lot of people go through this. Yep, is that ground I can find clarity on these things? If not some short-term purpose that I have for wanting to achieve my goals, let me look at Shastra as that long-term purpose. In the grand scheme of my growth as a sadhaka, then, where does this action fall? Notice what I said. In the grand scheme of looking at myself as a sadhaka, where do these actions fall? When I look at it from that standpoint, things that are overblown are minimized in the grand scheme of things. Things that I have not even considered and I neglect and I dismiss, they take on outsized importance. Because at the age of 19 to 26, no one expects us to have everything figured out. That's unrealistic. But at least this gives us a blueprint then on how to think. Yep does not tell us what to think. It tells us how to think. That's one very important distinction. This is not some spiritual indoctrination where we say, this is what Bhagavad Gītā says, believe it because it says in the book. Oh, you don't believe in Bhagavan? You're a terrible person. How can you become a Chinmaya mission thing? That's not the tenor at all. Any question you have, any objection you have, anything you want to go deeper into, you always have an opportunity to do that. That's because of the way the faculty functions. All the swamins and brahmacharis that are there, either permanent faculty the entire 7 weeks or visiting faculty, they each have a background that gives them a different way of thinking of things. Each of them have the way of unraveling a text, presenting it in a certain way that makes us think every single time. So different perspectives, and that helps create what our intention of action is. Then the third shloka in this Gītā Pañcāmṛtam, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yat. In every single action you do, that which is big in terms of what is offered, that which is so mundane, even in what you eat and drink, etc., offer everything to me. Your intentions, the action, the result, offer everything to me, Bhagavan says. This is important because in our journey, then, when have we had a chance to really establish that bond with Bhagavan? We can be firm believers in Bhagavan, no doubt. You can have an Ishtadevata, you can do ardent puja, all of this. Great. You can know all about their Leela, through Purana, Itihasa, all of that's also there. How many of us can say that bond is truly built? That connection is super strong, though. That's one thing we get from the EP course. Because as I've mentioned before in this session, we are philosophers when it comes to Sanatana Dharma. We are builders when it comes to Vedanta of how to apply it. We are wonderful at being strategists as well. What are ways of handling triggers through this knowledge? One label that falls away, sadly, is practitioner of a daily sadhana practice. Because that's not glamorous. I can't impress someone by talking about it. It's just the same puja, the same japa, the same sitting there and trying to clear the mind. What is all this? That's how we connect with Bhagavan, however. If that connection is not there, I can memorize every shloka of Bhagavad Gītā. I can know the logic inside and out. I'll still feel empty on the inside. The rest of that is for the head. This connection with Bhagavan is then for the heart. How am I able to actually execute karma yoga in the right way if I don't have that connection to offer at the feet of Bhagavan? How am I supposed to lift myself by myself if I don't feel I have that anugraha, grace of that Bhagavan at my back all the time? This is the space where, through a puja vidhi, daily japa sadhana that you engage in, yoga or exercise that is done daily, this is how we build ourselves up in body, mind, and intellect to be firm bhaktas. And in turn, that builds our conviction and clarity as well. Whether it's physical, mental, or intellectual, so many Yuvavirs say that those 2 months of the EP course, they are in the best shape of their lives. It's a wonder what an hour of exercise can do. Not just for our bodies, but for our minds as well. Now imagine at this young age, you assimilate that into your own life, make it a constant practice every day. How much growth can there be? It's unlimited. So lifestyle is also one benefit we get from this youth empowerment program. And it's not stifling where we're constantly saying, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. You gradually go into it yourself to the point where, 2 weeks of japa every single day, that 15th day you don't do it, you feel like, man, something's off. You naturally have a proclivity to do it. So sadhana, that which seems esoteric, what we've labeled as ritualistic throughout our lives, that which may not be stressed in our Balvihar careers as well, you get a new dimension into that. Where whatever we're studying in satsangs for the various texts, whether it's Bhagavad Gītā, whether it's Tattva Bodha, Sadhana Panchakam, Hanuman Chalisa, all of this has a connection to my lifestyle as well. That connection is clearly made at the Ep course. Then the fourth shloka we look at in this Gītā Pañcāmṛtam, Ananyās chintayanto mam ye janāh paryupāsate. Tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Bhagavan says, I take care of your yoga, all that you have to acquire, kshema, protecting what you've acquired. All your needs, basically. And last time we looked at, what is the one thing he's asking? Worship nothing else but me. Don't worship money. Don't worship status. Don't worship prestige. Don't worship your boyfriend or girlfriend. Worship only me is what he's asking. That's all. What's the deeper significance here? There's two ways we can think about this. The immature sadhaka's way is, if I have that firm faith in Bhagavan and worship only him, he takes care of all my needs. I want a Bugatti and a mansion and another Corvette just to be safe. I'm a bhakta of Bhagavan. He'll give me all these things. That's the immature way of thinking about it. Mature way is, I understand in my essence that Bhagavan is not different from me. Therefore, what needs do I even have at this point? If I have Bhagavan, I have everything then. Priorities also come out from this youth empowerment program. How many people do you see running after things that they think make them happy? Or people are traveling on a weekly basis, they're going here, there, anything as a side hustle to make something else. For what? Here I find the capacity to prioritize and say, this is what matters to me in my life. And even if 100 people are doing something else, if it does not lead to my growth, to hell with it, that's not something I'm going to go into. Gives me the strength to say that to myself. Not to preach to others, to at least say that to myself. What are those top 5 things I prioritize? Family, my own mental health, the well-being of the people around me, knowing that what I do has purpose to it. These are intangibles that if we don't have, our life is miserable. But often, aren't these the things we neglect the most? It's funny, isn't it? So what is all of this meant for? What are my priorities? That becomes very clear through this course. And finally, that final shloka, 66th shloka of the 18th chapter, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Sharanam. What is that ultimate refuge? What do I lean on in times of need? Where is this knowledge confined merely to a Zoom room on a Monday night or in a temple? Where my real life outside of this has other solutions that aren't religious, but this is just something I do to keep myself happy? Or is it that whatever problem I have, I can connect it back to this knowledge? There's no such thing as I need to be fit to come to this course. They've all found refuge in this knowledge and what it has to offer. You find a community here as well. That you are not alone in what you have to go through, whether it's the faculty that's checking on you, fellow students that after 7 weeks together every single day, they become lifelong friends. You don't have to go through anything alone. That's the glory and the biggest takeaway of this course right here. The sense of belonging is one thing people go their entire lives searching for. As a yuva, then people ask me, what is the difference then, the big difference between attending a course like this versus coming to satsang every week? It's the same knowledge, the same texts you can learn this way. Same sadhana practices I can do outside also. That sense of community though, man, that's not something you can replicate outside of this course. The feeling that comes from actually growing with someone as sadhakas, that's a feeling like no other. Truly a camaraderie that really builds every single year we have this course. So with that, my intention today was show you these 5 shlokas, which we want to live, How can we live that through an amazing course like the Youth Empowerment Program? So we'll take a few minutes in there with one specific question then before we come back. Think about the next 5 years of your life, no matter what age you are. Next 5 years of your life, think about it. Let's divide it into 3 different categories. Category number 1. What is expected of me in these 5 years? So what are those things expected of me by my parents, by society, by my friends, by just going with the flow of life and being a certain age? What are the things that are expected of me? Column number 2. What is it that I want to do in these next 5 years? They can be tangible growth or intangible growth. Tangible. I want to start my own marketing business. Something on the side. I want to make it big these next 5 years so I don't have to have a typical job with a boss for the rest of my life. Intangible. I want to be a more patient person. In the next 5 years, I want to build this capacity of patience. Third category, perhaps the most important one right here. What is it that I want to offer to the world? Second category was what I want to accomplish. And that's still egocentric. What do I want to give to the world over these next 5 years? We're never too young or insignificant to make a difference. The reason being, this is one of those few exercises we truly look inwards and share. This is the tenor of the EP course. That's how it is. Workshops that we have, group discussions that we have, questions asked during satsang make us think deeply about those things we don't think about anywhere else. That's the chance we get from here. When it comes to the Youth Empowerment Program, then, some particulars to tell you about. The camp is from June 14th, July 19th at Chinmaya Mangalam in Dallas, near Dallas, about an hour and a half from here. Now, when it comes to registration or application, actually, there's several parts to it. If you go to chickwest.org/yep, chickwest.org/yep, takes you to the application process, where one of those things that actually takes some time is a reference. Coming from someone that's known you, preferably in a Shinmaya mission setting. Someone that's known you, a Balvihar teacher, administrator at your center, something like that. It's about what is your interest in doing this. There's a personal statement part as well. What is it that you want to get out of this program? And the cost is $2,000 US. But if you're financially in a bind, whether it's through installments or even helping find a sponsor, something, we can work with you. Okay, so don't let that be prohibitive. So that's the application process in a nutshell. So with that, thank you so much for joining. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo